Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Rangers Review morning briefing for Wednesday, the 21st of July. I'm Derek Clark. I'm delighted to say we're joined this morning by Joshua Barry. Joshua, how are we doing?
All good, Derek. All good. Happy to be here.
Yeah, fantastic stuff. Plenty to talk about with regards to Rangers. We'll kick off with something that I noted last night. It made me chuckle, I've got to admit. Of course, the other team across the city, Celtic, were involved in Champions League qualifying action against Michelin, a team we know well. And John Collins came out with a hot take afterwards. Of course, Barkas was at fault for the equalising goal for the Danes. And John Collins seems to think that if Rangers and Celtic swapped goalkeepers last season, Celtic would win the league. No laughing at the back there. I mean, I've heard some things in my time, Joshua, but this is certainly up there.
Yeah. I mean, I don't really know where to start. In terms of, I think, like, because he spoke specifically about the Rangers Celtic games. And I think if you look at those in isolation, even to go see the New Year game, and there was a lot of chat about this at the time. The XG between Rangers and Celtic was about 0.2. Rangers about 0.54, Celtic 0.74 expectation of the goals they'd score. But because McGregor tipped that onto the post, which is a wonderful save, that fits the narrative. But you look at, there was only two Old Firms last season where there was really anything to play for in terms of game state, and the 1-1 game at Celtic Park where Celtic were the better team, and McGregor did bail us out a couple of times, came off the back of that Slavia game. I think Rangers looked absolutely knackered. I think when you've seen Rangers and Celtic go head to head in the Scottish Cup game and the last game at Ibrox, you've seen who the better team was. But I think it's such a simplistic look at what Celtic's issues were last year. I mean, I didn't watch the game last night, but I read up a bit on it, and by all accounts, they looked a lot better coached, and I think their squad is still quite threadbare in areas. But if you look at that last performance last season, Derek, and you say the issue was individualism, it wasn't individualism. The issue was that Rangers have been coached within an inch of their life for 3 years. They've had an intelligent player trading model. It means they've brought players in that can fit a system. They've got an excellent first team coach and a manager who knows his limitations. And Jared's spoken about that, at length before, about how, he doesn't try and do everything because Michael Beale's been coaching for 20 years and he knows his strengths. So to suggest that a goalkeeper would change that, I think, is just a really simplistic way to look at it. I mean, I remember a game last season that I watched, and it was Celtic Livingston when they drew 0-0, and I was working on it. And this was when Celtic had to play their kind of second team after the Dubai Dubai debacle. And I thought the most I think I might have said this on here before, but there's elements of that game you can watch, and this is when Livingston really had their tail up and were playing some really good football. Celtic second team didn't know what to do with the ball, because they weren't coached well. And you see, contrastingly, when Rangers played their second 11 away in Europe against Lech Poznan, I think we made 8 changes that night, 7-8 changes, and the manner in which we played was really identical, because Rangers won the league last season because they were a better team. They were a better coached team. They were a better managed team. And they also did have moments of individualism. But then, if Alan McGregor isn't there and another goalkeeper's there, Rangers maybe concede 19, 20 goals instead of 13. That's still a low number. 13's an abnormal number. So I would hasten to disagree with John's take on it.
Yeah, listen, he was player of the year last year. He was absolutely outstanding, Alan McGregor. There's no denying it. But to suggest that if Celtic had him, they'd win the league, I mean, it's bordering on it's one of the most insane comments I think I've ever heard in my life. But I think it's stuff like that. You just chuckle because it's got no real foundation really. Let's move on then. News coming out at Ibrox yesterday, encouraging news with regards to attendances. There will be 8,500 permitted entry to Ibrox on Saturday against Brighton. An extra 4,000 at the Real Madrid game on Sunday, which has puzzled a number of people because they're not too sure why, what the science is behind that. And 17,000 at the first game of the season against Livingston. And the hope is that for a European game at Ibrox against either Malmo or Helsinki, there'll be a full house. So encouraging news, Joshua. We'll touch on Flag Days also in a little minute, but encouraging news that we're getting more and more people into the ground.
Yeah. As I say, I don't understand the 8,000, 12,000. I've seen a lot of people just applying some sort of science to it, but it feels it feels strange as well having 2 games at Ibrox in 2 days, doesn't it? It feels a bit like a festival weekend or something. And I presume that they're gonna just have two completely separate teams, and maybe just split it 14 and 14, and whether they play one of their strongest teams on one day and a kind of backup team the other day, I don't know, but yeah, it'll be excellent. I think especially when you look back to when we won the league against St Mirren, and it's still the prospect of supporters just seems so far off. So to actually have the potential of, I think the slightly sad thing in it all was that there would never be a chance to celebrate the 55th title while it was still before it turns 56, hopefully. And I think if we can get a full house on Flag Day, then that will allow the players and the staff the opportunity to celebrate with the fans, because it's such a monumental achievement and was such an impressive season that I think that's the least it deserves. And fingers crossed that is it August 10th or 11th, I think.
The 10th is the European game. The 9th
European
is a family
game, yeah.
day. If I'm right, So yeah, but yeah, Flag Day, the 18th of September, I believe, which will be against Motherwell, which is great because that means that we can get more and hopefully a full house inside Ibrox to witness that, what would be a momentous occasion. So it's good to see the club have done that, because there were some supporters, especially that messaged me saying that they didn't want to miss out on such an occasion. So it's good to see that they've moved that.
Totally, yeah, and as you say, hopefully from early August that's it, and that's that is full houses again, which will be a real. I mean, even on Saturday, 2,000 fans seemed, like 10,000. But just even in terms of the how the game differs, there was a lot of really interesting analysis into how teams play differently, and I don't know if this will transfer to us, but how a lot of teams have played a little bit differently without crowds, and I wonder if we'll see that at all. But I tend to think that there's so much goodwill towards this Rangers team, and there's so much so much goodwill that it will just really add another dimension, and it will make, because if you think how difficult Ibrox was to come to last season, I mean, how many goals did we concede? Like 4 or 5 goals in the league at home, something ridiculous, if that. If you think how difficult a place it was to come anyway with that Rangers team, the way they press you, and David Martindale spoke at the end of last season and said it was like playing having 14 players on the pitch. If you tie in an exuberant Ibrox crowd who haven't been there for a year and a half, then I think the prospect just becomes all the more difficult for the opposition.
Yeah, and they'll be itching to go and watch the team, of course, as well. Such a fantastic season last year, and I mean, everyone enjoyed it, of course, sat in the living rooms and where have you, but they want to be there in the flesh, watching it firsthand. Another little story coming out, well, not so much coming out of Ibrox, but being reported elsewhere, involving Kai Kennedy. Apparently, the Daily Mail has seen reported that West Ham were interested in him. Norwich as well, but that's been dismissed by the Canaries apparently. But he's certainly a player that has attracted attention before. He's certainly a special talent, Joshua. I think the likelihood is he'll go back out on loan next season, but there's no doubt about it. This boy looks to be something special.
Yeah, and I know there was some contracts difficulties in the past and whatnot, but yeah, I watched him a couple of times. We was at Inverness and then with Rovers last season, and watched him quite a number of times in the under 19s and under 17s at Scottish level, and yeah, really exciting player. I mean, I think he will go out on loan because I don't think there's necessarily a pathway for him to play first team football this season. I think we'll know more at the end of the window what that kind of front three looks like. But at the moment, you've still got Jones and Barker there, neither of whom I would really want to keep it at the benefit of giving Kai Kennedy maybe 10 games. But if they don't think he's ready, then the coaching staff will know exactly what to do with him. But yeah, I think he's a very exciting player. I think he's the same age as Patterson. And they've kind of came through the age ranks together. But there's a lot of exciting players in that age range. Like James Maxwell, left back, played I think every game for Queen of the South after he arrived on loan. And I think the interesting thing is, these players have played together for however many years in the youth squads. And I remember watching Maxwell and Kennedy play for Scotland 19s against somewhere, maybe Andorra in Dumbarton. And the relationship on the ball was just excellent, and I was watching that then thinking, give it a few years and they'll really be able to do it in the first team. So maybe it's just a year or two behind, and that will just be Patterson's season this season. But yeah, certainly very highly thought of, and I'd be gutted if he did go, but I don't think he will. I think they want to keep him around, and also the emergence of Patterson shows that I think even Gerard's comments about how, which we've touched upon a lot the last few days, about how he wants to fit Tavernier and Patterson on the same side. It shows there's a pathway, and it shows if you're good enough, you'll be given those opportunities. And I think that only helps younger players, and it shows them that there is a pathway into the first team. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. Yeah, hopefully he's around for the long haul.
Yeah, touching on when you mentioned Jones and Barker, those are two players. Do you think they've got Rangers' futures past at this transfer window? Or do you think they might be moved on before the window shuts?
It's a tough one, Derek, because the thing is they really have persisted with Barker, haven't they? And I do think at times he's shown why. And you remember towards the start of last season, they kind of played Kent and Barker as at Celtic Park, but they played them on they played them all almost in a 4-4-2. They played loosely in front of the two in midfield, and it seemed to work quite well. But then he went out on loan, and Jones. I wrote about Jones about a week ago about that sliding door moment, which was the red card against Celtic, and how but if you remember before that, he did that excellent assist to Wayne Midtjylland, because this was before Kent had signed full time, so there was still a little bit of intrigue as to who would start in that position for the whole season. So he had that assist in the 6-1 home win against Hibs. He was excellent, down the left, and then he set up Morelos' header against, was it Legia Warsaw, to send us into the Europa League. And at that point, you think, oof. He just showed he had excellent ability, and then that after that moment where, and if you watch that red card again, the thing is, I think in Jordan Jones' head, he's thinking, I'm going to go and this will, it's been a frustrating day for the crowd, and this will be some vindication. And even if you watch that red card, there's kind of a smattering of applause and frustrated. Stephen Gerrard said after the match, that's not how you win over Rangers supporters, and I think that's tended to be true. And since that red card, I think he's made something like 9 appearances, maybe like 3 or 4 starts, and then he had the moment of what we thought was a moment of redemption against Motherwell last season when he scored that goal.
Yeah.
But then the COVID breach happened. So I don't know, Derek. I think the thing is, Gerrard has forgiven players when they've let him down, but I don't know if he did enough to earn his trust in the first place. I don't know if it's with Morelos. There's so much to lose if that relationship isn't right. With Patterson, with the COVID breach, there's so much to lose if that doesn't work out. But with Jones, I just don't know if he earned that trust in the first place. So it'll be interesting to see. I think one of them will probably stay, just to provide a little bit of backup in the left. But yeah, I think Jones is a better player. But you have to look at his involvement over the last couple of seasons and say it's hard to see him in his third season now playing a big role at Rangers.
Yeah, we've got a comment there. Any update on the Veerman situation? I think it's all going to be a bit quiet there in the last couple of days. I know we reported at the tail end of last week that reports coming out of Holland that that Rangers may be looking to sell perhaps before bringing him in. He has been strongly linked, of course, but it's just one of those I think we just need to keep an eye on. I think it's got a number of days to run yet, and I think there's going to be a bit of activity before that transfer window closes. And before we go, Joshua, I'm not too sure. I seen a photo yesterday of a possible leaked away shirt. I'm not too sure if you've seen that. It's black with sort of red trim. And it's got obviously the yellowy gold writing on it as well. So it's certainly something to look out for.
I got my training top, the tracksuit top yesterday, and it was of the badges of the highest quality, which was nice. But no, I mean I'm always a fan of of a white Rangers away kit.
Yeah,
subconscious bias towards it. And I didn't really the one kit I didn't like last season, Derek, was the one we wore away against Willem, because we didn't wear it often. The black with, I think it had orange.
That was a cracker.
Yeah. Did you like it? See,
did you not like it?
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I'm a big fan of the home shirt aside from the gold, which I think just for me, it's sort of divided opinion, isn't it? That. Yeah, but no, it'd be interesting to see it. You turn up anyway, regardless of the colour, wouldn't you? You don't care.
Yeah. If the word green and white, well, maybe not to. So you keep your eyes peeled on that. Looks like a new away shirt. It looks smart. But I agree with you, Joshua. I think I grew up in the time where 92, 93, your away shirt should be just basically a reverse of the home shirt for me. So a blue shirt and then it's just a reverse for the away. And that should be the rules at all times. So, but there you go. Excellent stuff. That'll do us there. Thanks to everyone for tuning in, as always, to the morning briefing. Plenty of great content coming your way on the Rangers review today. There's a good article I put up there with regards to Brian Laudrup. I've spoken to 5 players that played against him. It's fair to say he was a difficult opponent. Joshua, have you got anything on the way later?
Yeah, I actually don't know what's going on today, but I'm working today on some Stats Bomb Raiders from last season. So if you don't know what that is, it's kind of an in-depth statistical look at players' performances, and they're really interesting because it's a real visual representation of how players have done. And there's some very impressive ones. Kemar Roof especially is just his numbers really back up what you see in the pitch in terms of the impact he's had in the team. So. Over the next, lots of exciting things coming over the next few days, and then we have competitive football to look forward to. So plenty of Rangers content coming your way. Yeah,
excellent stuff. Well, thanks very much again for everyone for tuning in. We'll be back tomorrow for Thursday's morning briefing. But until then, take care and bye for now.